Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Hiya Toys ROBOCOP. We're actually looking at two different versions of ROBOCOP. We have the plain one and the battle damage version. They're, other than the battle damage, the same figure. So we're going to do them both in one review. Hiya sent these to me, you guys know by now. Hiya sends me everything I review of theirs, they send me for a review. Because I don't collect this scale, but I can still appreciate it and I can still review it for all of you who do collect the scale. And these in particular, I may just start collecting this scale. I don't know. These are pretty fun. I like these a whole bunch. But just if you're new to the channel, you should know they send them to me. They don't tell me what to say. They don't even technically tell me to review them, but that is what I do. So everything I say is strictly my own. It's not theirs. Whatever it is, they have no control over what I do with the figures. Just putting that out there. Alright, so there's some good stuff about these figures for sure. And then there's definitely some stuff that's not so good. So let's go ahead and get them off the stand and take a closer look. Before we get into the review, just to be clear, you get this outer box, that's the same for both figures. Then on the inside of this box, you have like the retro style card packaging with the blister on the front. And they're all the same except for, it says battle damage. And it shows the battle damage figure for the battle damage one, and then the regular one is just the regular one. But that way you know about the packaging. It's I love the retro type of card stuff, but then they gave you this other package too to make it in line with the Hiya stuff, so that's pretty cool. All right, on to the height. It's a very tiny thing. If you guys aren't aware, Hiya does not make large scale stuff. Very small. This guy stands just shy of 4¼ inches, which makes him pretty close to, let's say, 10½ centimeters. A very, very small figure. And if it's not readily apparent, because this is fairly well detailed and you might not be able to tell the difference, let's just do a quick comparison against a NECA figure. I don't happen to have a NECA ROBOCOP, but since NECA does make ROBOCOP, and I happen to have this Super Shredder right here, that'll just give you a size comparison. That's how tiny the little ROBOCOP is that we're looking at. Now this Super Shredder is a big figure, but still very tiny to hold him very far back to make him the same size. I just really wanted to get Super Shredder on the screen again. Okay, this guy, very, very nicely detailed. Aesthetically speaking, they are the same other than the battle damage. So it's not just the scratch marks on the chest. There's a little bit on the head too, of course, and on the arm and on the legs, and it's all over the place. But it's not just the black marks. You can see there's like an oily look. It's like a brown kind of finish sprayed on there. And I think that looks pretty good. That's a nice way of doing it. But the thing that really impresses me the most is how well they captured that kind of chameleon bluish, purplish, silver look. It's very nicely done. I did not expect it to look this good in hand. I saw the photos online for like pre-orders and stuff. And even on their packaging, I don't think any of them do it justice. These guys look freaking good for this scale. It's tiny and they just did it so well. I do think he's a little bit stocky. I know ROBOCOP is not known for being trim, but he does have a little bit of a, like, I think he should be just a little bit taller. Over, like, stretch the whole thing, not counting the head, just a little bit. But like I think his legs look a little short, maybe that's probably what it is, but otherwise they got all the details in there. I am honestly impressed by this, although they do a good job with their predators and stuff anyway. But like I said in the beginning, I don't collect this scale because it's generally not well enough detailed for me, and there's not enough articulation because it's just too small. But Hiya does a really, really good job of packing it in there, and I think the head sculpt is wonderful. The paints are clean. They even painted the lips in there nicely. Got a good likeness. I'm very impressed. And again, they're not telling me to say any of this stuff. I genuinely think anything I'm saying is true. And that's what I'm very, very impressed by these things. They did a really, really good job. So aesthetically speaking, I'm going to give these guys a 9 out of 10. They are too stocky as far as I can tell. You can tell me if I'm wrong. I'm positive I'm not, but if you think they're okay for you, then that's okay. I mean, obviously, it's not like you have a lot of options, so a tiny little thing like that shouldn't be a big deal. But I do want to point out, and this maybe is intentional, maybe it's not, the non-battle damage one is kind of glossy in here, and the battle damage one is not. Same thing for the arms too, the black spots for the gloves. Not the neck so much, but the gloves and the torso and crotch, the black is glossy on this one and not on this one, so that's kind of worth noting. But very nice looking figures. As far as accessories go, we have a little display stand thingy with the standard Hiya little tabs that you can connect the little display stands together if you want to make a better diorama type of thing, I guess. But then we have 2 alternate hands. We have the 2 open hands that come on them in the package. Then we have 1 trigger finger hand and 1 of the hands with the spiky thing that comes out. So that's pretty cool. And then lastly, we have his pistol, which obviously does not come out of his hip on this little tiny figure, but it is a nice enough sculpt for the pistol. So I think that's a decent enough spread. I will give that 8 out of 10. I don't know what else he could really have. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I can't really think of anything. Maybe some fist hands? He doesn't punch. Does he punch? I don't think he really punches. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good batch of accessories. Okay, we're gonna set this one aside after we drop it, and we're gonna do the review for the articulation just on this one because they are identical. The head, ball peg, moves around no problem at all. You will not have any issues posing this head. That's fine. Definitely get a little bit of attitude, and it looks up and down and everything you need. The shoulders are on a ball peg connected to the torso that lets the entire arm move around, and then we have a ball hinge. Obviously, he does have those big, tall shoulders that ROBOCOP has, so he's definitely limited in that department. But you do get your full rotation, of course. And like I said, you get all of that extra adjustment. The elbows are double jointed elbows. You get just better than 90 degrees. Again, very tiny, not the best range. Luckily for ROBOCOP, I think that's perfectly suitable. So that's fine by me as far as I'm concerned. That's how ROBOCOP is. There is no bicep swivel really though. You can rotate the arm just a little bit up there, but that's about it. And then the wrists are just connected on a little ball peg. So you get some range, but not a ton. For the torso, there's a diaphragm joint up here and another peg down here. So he can actually lean around pretty well. Let me zoom out just a little bit. He's not that tiny. So he can lean around surprisingly well. Not that you really need to. Luckily with ROBOCOP, they can get away with almost no articulation and it's fine. But this torso does work pretty nicely. Better than I expected. So that should be just fine for everybody out there. For the hips, they do come forward nicely. No problem there. They do slide kind of a rotation on his triangular crotch piece, but otherwise it's okay. They do go back a little bit out to the side. Again, the shape of the armor or whatever you want to call it does limit him, but I think again for ROBOCOP that should be just fine. Is there a thigh swivel? A little bit. Yep, it's in there. For the knee, a little bit less than 9. That's decent amount less than 90 degrees, but again, it's ROBOCOP, so I'm okay with it. For the ankle, you can see we actually have this functioning piston, which is pretty cool. And this thing is on a little ball peg in his leg. So if you need to adjust it to account for posability, you can do that. It's not like there's a ton there, but it does move. And so you can bring the ankle forward if you want to. You get decent range going forward and going back. And that just is a little tube peg that slides inside that tube. So it's not like there's any actual mechanical craziness going on, but that works nicely, so I like that. And then technically, the ankle does have a swivel, which is why you may need this to be on a ball peg. Do be very careful though. This is a very tiny figure and a very tiny hand and a very tiny piece of plastic. So I'm not gonna force this right now. I don't wanna risk breaking it. Do with your own what you're comfortable with, but there is an ankle rocker on there. It's not at a great angle, but it is technically there. So that covers the articulation for this guy. It's not impressive because it's a tiny little figure and it doesn't have the most range everywhere, but I think for what it is, it's perfectly suitable. Honestly speaking, I'm not into this scale, but I really enjoy this figure, and I can't imagine anybody who likes ROBOCOP and who does collect this scale not being pleased with this. Honestly, the only thing I'd really want to change about this guy is the fact that he's a little bit squatty. But even then, once you pose him a little bit, you're not even going to notice it. I'm genuinely impressed. This is maybe my favorite figure from them. They've done not a great job with some of their comic book properties, but the Predators have been consistently awesome, and this guy is right up in there with them. It looks really, really good. I'm very pleased with this. It makes me want to be into ROBOCOP more. I never really got into it. I don't know why, but I like this a lot, and I can't imagine you guys aren't going to like it too. So if you are a ROBOCOP fan, let me know how you feel about it from a personal perspective, like a very subjective rating for you. just let me know how you feel. But as far as an objective rating, I am going to give this guy, I have to rate the articulation, I haven't done that yet. I'm only going to give the articulation a 6. It's not great. There are some spots that are good. The head and the torso are awesome. The rest is all just acceptable. So it's only going to get a 6. Articulation's not really there. It's just enough as far as I'm concerned. But the final verdict for this guy, the overall rating, I'm going to give it an 8. Despite the stockiness and the limited range, I think it comes with a nice batch of accessories and it does look really good. It's very accurate other than the stockiness, and there's tons of detail. And just remember, again, it's easy to forget while it's on camera how small this guy really is. He's itty bitty. He's so little. Look at him just compared to the head. He's so tiny. So just remember that he is that tiny and that good at that scale. I love these little things. I collect too much stuff. I can't collect another whole scale, but this guy is one of the better ones that they've released for sure. So final verdict is 8. There you go, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you probably should, because we have new videos out just about every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.